Today's video is all about Durham versus Pittsboro. So if you're thinking about a 55 plus community, you're not sure what's available in these two areas, you're not sure what's different about Pittsboro versus Durham and things like that, I'm going to break it down for you today. We'll talk about the differences between the two locations and what's available with regard to 55 plus communities in the two locations. And we'll even look at what's available today, what's on the market today, and the prices. So I'm going to share my screen because I do think it's important to share a map, especially if you're not familiar with the triangle. So this map is all the 55 plus communities or age targeted communities in the triangle. So the pink houses are the communities. And then I added in like the grocery stores, and those are the purple circles, and the hospitals are going to be the blue circles, and museums and things like that are going to be the yellow. So this gives you a good snapshot as far as what's available around the communities. And so I think the first thing is, Pittsboro's over here, and right now Encore Chatham Park is the option there. There is a Del Webb community that's going to be opening in 2027. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then you have the Durham communities, which are located up here. There's several. There's more options available in Durham than there are in Pittsboro, especially right now. You have the one community, and then you have another community coming soon, and possibly a third 55 plus option in Pittsboro with whatever Disney's going to do. They have said that they're going to do some 55 plus in their section of Chatham Park. So I think the first thing is you're going to have more city energy in Durham versus more small town over in Pittsboro. So Pittsboro is a cute little downtown, local shops and restaurants. You can go park there and spend the day going in and out of shops, getting, coffee and things like that. Whereas up here in Durham, you're going to be more convenient to the airport, to major cities. You're convenient to Durham. You're convenient to Raleigh. So you're going to feel like you're plugged into a bigger city lifestyle in Durham. And then in Pittsboro, you're going to feel like it's a little bit more of like that small town charm. Those appeal to different people. So obviously, if you don't like a lot of the big city stuff, you're going to gravitate more towards Pittsboro and vice versa. Community examples. So there's more options available in Durham. So these are all of our 55 plus communities that are located in Durham right now. And there are Carolina Arbors by Del Webb. That's a resale community that is built out. They finished up around 2019, 2020. Fendel Farms finished up around, I think, 2022, 2023. Creekside at Bethpage also finished up around that same time frame. So those are the three resale 55 plus communities that are available in Durham. And then there's two additional new construction options. You have Falls Village, which is a little bit north of some of the shopping and restaurants and things like that, but you're still very convenient to that area. And then we also have Ovation at Sweetbriar by Mungo Homes. So there's two new construction options in addition to the three resale options. And now if we go over to Pittsboro, right now you have Encore at Chatham Park being built by David Weekley. It's going to be a smaller 55 plus community, but a beautiful community. David Weekley builds a beautiful home, and they are under construction and have options available today. As I mentioned earlier, Del Webb is going to be building, and they're going to be building a little bit south, like here's downtown Pittsboro. They're going to be building a little bit south of downtown Pittsboro. They're doing the land development right now. And if you are interested in learning more about that and the 55 plus options in Pittsboro, I did do a video as far as like what's going on with 55 plus in Pittsboro. So check that out on my YouTube channel. Welcome to Raleigh. But Del Webb is going to be building a very large 55 plus community. I confirmed with the info center within Chatham Park, it's going to be about 2,400 homes. So that will be the biggest 55 plus community in the triangle. So that one will be starting in 2027. And then also up a little bit north here, So that's going to be the southern part of Chatham Park. And then a little bit north of here, Disney is going to be developing a huge section of Chatham Park, and a portion of they have said a portion of their community will be 55 plus. There's not a lot of details. They also expect to open in 2027. So those are the options available right now. More options available in Durham than there are in Pittsboro, but you have some great options coming soon in Pittsboro, which is great, especially if your timeline is a little bit further out. My next question would be is if you're thinking about Pittsboro versus Durham, I would say, how much do you want to drive? Because as you can see here in the map, you're much more convenient to major roads, the airport, things like that, downtown Raleigh, downtown Durham, than you are over here in Pittsboro. And again, some people really like that. And I'm going to share this. This is actually from the Chatham Park website. So this is going to show you, you're 2.9 miles from downtown Pittsboro, you're 11 miles to Jordan Lake, which is a state recreation area here in the Triangle. You're 14 miles to Chapel Hill, 30 miles to the airport, 33 miles to Durham, and 26 miles to Durham. And so just to compare Pittsboro to Durham, I just use Carolina Arbors as the example. Whereas if you're in Pittsboro, you're 30 miles to the airport. If you're in Carolina Arbors, you're 8 miles to the airport. Now, some people may say, oh, I wouldn't want to be that close to the airport because I'm going to hear noise. That Carolina Arbors, all those 55 plus communities are not in the flight path. So yeah, you'll see the planes and you may hear them, but they're not flying over your house. So 30 miles to the airport versus 8. And that can help someone who says, hey, I still work and I have to travel a lot, or I have family that I'm going to be visiting often, or I plan on doing a lot of traveling during retirement. So that can be something that you take into consideration when you're making a decision on the two different areas. When you're in Chatham Park, you're 33 miles to Raleigh. When you're in Carolina Arbors or that area, you're about 15 miles to downtown Raleigh. 26 miles to Durham. If you're in Chatham Park, you're only 10 miles to Durham. And I used DPAC, the Durham Performing Arts Center, as kind of like my map, what I use to map it out. So you're about 10 miles from Carolina Arbors into Durham. And then 19 miles to Chapel Hill from Durham. And then if you're in Chatham Park, you are a little bit closer, pretty comparable. 14 miles from Chatham Park to Chapel Hill, 19 miles from Durham or Carolina Arbors over to Chapel Hill. So definitely more convenient to, I would say major medical systems, more restaurants, access to the airport, big box shopping. And then in Pittsboro, it's going to be more that, charming small town, community events. You're going to be a part of a larger master plan community if you're over in Pittsboro, because it's going to be Del Webb at Chatham Park. It's Encore at Chatham Park. But Chatham Park is a huge master plan community, and there's all these different neighborhoods being built. It's going to be very diverse as far as housing is concerned. And a lot of your stuff is just going to be right within the community, which that can appeal to people as well. That, hey, I can just go to the grocery store, and it's basically right here in Chatham Park. I don't have to travel really far for it. I don't have to go very far outside of the neighborhood to get to the grocery store. So that's something to think about as well, and something that can influence your decision with regard to where you want to be. With regard to amenities and social life and things like that, all the 55 plus communities have amenities. Actually, I should say most of them. There are a couple that don't have any, but the communities that we're talking about today all have amenities. They'll have a clubhouse, a swimming pool, tennis, pickleball courts, a gym, meeting space, and they're all active. So they're going to have clubs, groups, activities, things going on. And this, looking at all the options available to you, knowing that you're going to have a Del Webb community that's over 2,000 homes in Pittsboro, there's going to be a lot more clubs and activities there. And then you have Encore at Chatham Park, which is going to be smaller. You still have all the amenities, but it's just a smaller, closer knit community, less clubs and groups, but still an active community. And then over in Durham, all those communities have clubhouse, pool, gym, meeting space. They have clubs and groups and activities going on all the time. So it's not as much about, you're not going to miss as much on amenities. They're all going to have amenities. They'll all have an active lifestyle. I think the one thing that someone should take into consideration is if an indoor pool is really important to you. And I have worked with people who are like, I have to live in a community that has an indoor pool. So if that's something important to you, then that's going to limit your community search. So with 2,400 homes planned for the Del Webb in Pittsboro, they'll probably have, that would justify having an indoor pool. Carolina Arbors in Durham has an indoor pool, but other than that, none of the communities in that area have indoor pool. Now, I don't know what Disney plans. I'm not sure about that. But the other thing to take into consideration with Chatham Park is there is a YMCA over there as well. So that may have an indoor pool or some options for you as well. So something to take into consideration. With regard to homes, I'll share my screen again. And I wanted to talk just about availability. So I looked at so if someone is shopping today, what's available today and what is the price point? So obviously this is the Durham area. So with more communities available, and I just looked at homes that were 18 to 2,500 square feet. So I just picked a range. I didn't necessarily specify that they had to be one story, but they're single family homes. This is what is available in the Durham area. So this is everything that's on the market today. And so a good chunk of it, Ovation at Sweetbriar Falls Village, those are the two new construction communities. Everything else is resale. But overall, on average, the listings that are available, the average square footage is around 2,100 square feet. And the average list price is $532. And you can see it ranges, from the high 400s, into, the 600s as well. And some of the larger homes, especially in Carolina Arbors, can go up into the 700s and 800s. But this is what's available today. And then if we look over at Chatham Park, there's less availability because Encore Chatham Park is a smaller community. And when I say less availability, I mean less availability with regard to what is listed in the MLS. They do have lots available. They released a new phase. You can go in and, pick a lot and do all that stuff. So there's more availability in the community than what's showing on the MLS. But right now at Encore Chatham Park, there's 5 homes available for sale. 3 are new construction. And because it's been building for a few years, we are seeing some resale homes pop on the market. The average square footage is a little bit larger, so almost 2,300 square feet. And the average sales price a little bit higher, so $651,000 versus $532,000. Now, some of that could be because their homes are larger, newer construction, more modern features, things like that. But that just gives you a little snapshot as to the homes that are available, what the price points are as well. So that covers the homes. So we talked a little bit about location, which I think is really important for a lot of people. What appeals to you? Is it more that small town vibe, or do you want to be plugged into the big city? Amenities are going to be pretty comparable across the board. But what is important to you? Is it an indoor pool? Is it being close to a hospital? Is it being close to the airport? Think about what are the top 3 things that are most important to you, and that's going to help you kind of gravitate towards the right location for you. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And if you want more videos like this, check out my YouTube channel. Welcome to Raleigh. I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you soon.